Hey everyone, welcome back. Think about the way we talk about success in modern culture. We're told that teamwork makes the dream work. We're told that networking is the ultimate currency and that the open office plan is the pinnacle of innovation. We're taught from kindergarten that if you want to go far, you have to go together. But for a specific subset of high achievers, that advice doesn't just feel wrong, it feels like a cage. Have you ever noticed that some of the most brilliant minds you know are also the most reclusive? Maybe you're that person. You find that your best ideas don't come during a brainstorming session at a whiteboard with 6 other people. They come at 2 a.m. when the house is silent. You find that when you try to explain a complex vision to a group, the vision starts to feel diluted, heavy, and suddenly less yours. Today, we're diving into a psychological phenomenon that is often misunderstood as arrogance or social anxiety, the high autonomy intellectual. We're talking about the psychology of smart people who prefer to work alone, who see others not as partners but as cognitive interference, and who build empires in the dark without asking for a single hand to hold. Why do they do it? Is it a personality flaw? Or is it a biological necessity for high-level output? Let's pull back the curtain on the sovereign mind. To understand why some smart people view others as a disturbance, we have to look at how their brains actually process information. There is a concept in psychology called cognitive load. For most people, social interaction is a manageable background task. But for a highly intelligent individual engaged in a complex project, the brain is often operating at near maximum capacity. Think of it like a high-performance computer running a massive simulation. If you try to open a dozen browser tabs while that simulation is running, the whole system lags. For a solitary high achiever, a simple, "Hey, do you have a second?" from a colleague isn't just a 5-minute distraction. It's a context switch. Research suggests that it can take the brain up to 23 minutes to return to a state of flow after a single interruption. For someone whose work requires holding 10 different variables in their head at once, an interruption is a violent act. It's like someone walking through a house of cards you've been building for 4 hours. To the high autonomy person, other people represent noise. Not because they don't like people, but because they value their mental clarity above all else. There's also the intelligence social satisfaction paradox. A famous study published in the British Journal of Psychology found that while most people are happier when they spend more time with friends, highly intelligent individuals actually reported lower life satisfaction the more they socialized. Why? Because they have high-level objectives. When your brain is wired to solve a massive problem or create a complex work of art, social obligations feel like a tax on your most precious resource, your time. Now, let's talk about the disturbances. If you're a solitary high achiever, you've probably felt the frustration of a group project. You see the path from A to Z in a split second. But the group wants to debate B, C, and D for 3 hours. In psychology, this is known as social loafing and the common information effect. Basically, groups tend to focus on information that everyone already knows, rather than the unique, complex insights that a high IQ individual might bring to the table. For the smart person, the group becomes a regression to the mean. It's an anchor that slows the ship down. When you do it yourself, the feedback loop is instantaneous. You make a mistake, you pivot, you fix it. You don't have to wait for a committee to approve the pivot. You don't have to spend 40 minutes managing someone else's ego or explaining why your idea works. This isn't just about being a loner. It's about efficiency. For the high autonomy mind, other people are often seen as variables they cannot control. And if there's one thing a smart person likes, it's a controlled environment. When you work alone, You are the architect, the builder, and the inspector. There is a purity in that solitude that no collaboration can match. Have you ever had a big idea and felt an almost physical urge not to tell anyone? Most people are told that accountability partners help you reach your goals. But for the solitary achiever, telling someone your plan is the fastest way to kill it. There's a psychological reason for this called symbolic completion. When you tell someone about a big goal, like, I'm going to build a new software platform, or I'm going to write a novel, and they say, that's amazing, you're so smart. Your brain gets a hit of dopamine. It feels a sense of completion without having done any of the work. Smart, solitary people often intuitively understand that energy is a closed system. If they spend that energy talking about the project, they have less energy to do the project. They plan in secret because they want the results to be the first thing the world sees. They don't want the social reality of the goal. They want the objective reality of the achievement. There's also the issue of vision protection. A big, innovative idea is fragile in its early stages. If you show a big thing to a group too early, they will poke holes in it. They will tell you why it's unrealistic or too risky. The solitary achiever doesn't want to hear why it can't be done. They would rather build a prototype in their garage, prove that it can be done, and then present the world with a finished fact. For them, others aren't just disturbances. They are potential dream killers who operate on a different frequency. Now, let's be real. Living this way has its costs. The lone wolf path can be incredibly productive, but it can also be incredibly isolating. The very traits that make you a powerhouse, your autonomy, your focus, your disdain for small talk, can also lead to burnout. Because when you do everything yourself, the failure is yours alone too. But for many of the world's most influential thinkers, from Nikola Tesla to Emily Dickinson to modern-day tech recluses, this was never a choice. It was an orientation. If you're someone who feels guilty because you'd rather spend your weekend working on a personal project than going to a party, or if you feel mean because you find group meetings unbearable, stop. Your brain isn't broken. It's specialized. You are part of a long lineage of people who realize that the most productive thing you can do for the world isn't necessarily to fit in with the group. It's to provide the group with the results of your solitary labor. The world needs teams, absolutely. But the world also needs the secret architects. It needs the people who are willing to go into the cave, shut the door, and stay there until they've found the fire. So, if you're planning something big right now, if you're doing it all on your own, and you feel like everyone else is just a distraction, that's okay. Protect your silence. Guard your focus. The world will be waiting for what you bring back from the cave. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Are you a solitary builder, or do you thrive in the group? There's no wrong answer, just different ways of processing the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more deep dives into the psychology of high performance. I'll see you in the next one.